Hello and welcome to Spotlight on Newcastle County, which features all things Newcastle County, Delaware. I'm your host, Melody Kitchen. You never know who we're going to talk to or where we're going to visit. For today's show, we were recently on location at Carousel Park and Equestrian Center in the Pike Creek Valley to put the spotlight on the Clydesdale Colts training for the Newcastle County Police Mounted Patrol. And with us for that topic was Sergeant Mary Devine, the commander of the Mounted Patrol. Let's go to that segment now. Thank you so much for having us here today, Sergeant Devine, to catch up with the progress that the baby colts have been making.
Yeah, thank you for coming. Appreciate it.
Now, the first thing I'd like to ask, of course, is how much have they grown since the last time we've seen them?
Well, as I recall, they probably weighed somewhere in the area of 400 or 500 pounds, and I think they're probably up around 900 to 1,000. So I'd say they've doubled in size.
They're huge. Yeah. And I'd also like to ask how big you were expecting them to eventually be compared to the horses that you have here.
Right. Well, they're actually about the size of a normal horse right now. A normal average horse weighs about 1,000 pounds. But our big guys go anywhere between 1,700 to 2,000 pounds. And we expect Warden to get probably up there around the 2,000 pound mark because he's shown signs that he's going to be a big horse.
And one of them is a dark bay and one of them is a light bay. Can you tell our audience which is which?
Warden is the light and Wrangler is the dark bay.
Okay. And how have they grown in terms of the work that they're doing when they're practicing for what they'll do in the Mounted Patrol?
Right. They have made incredible progress over the last few months. We started, I think the last time you were here, we did a lot of desensitizing and we demonstrated some of that. We've actually started to put them into work, learning how to be patrol horses and actually getting them prepared to be ridden. So we are ground driving them now and lunging them, and they actually will bathe now, which was a big problem for us before.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah.
And clipping, so they're clipping now, and they do all the things that we would like them to do on the ground now without too much trouble.
Would you mind telling our audience what ground driving is so they can get an idea?
Sure. It's actually, there'll be one person working with them, a trainer. And she'll stand behind them, and what she'll have is a lead rope, one on either side. It starts from the bit, and it'll tether through the stirrup, and all the way back. She'll have one rein in each hand, and she'll be walking behind the horse. And so we call it driving because she'll be driving from behind, driving them forward, pushing them forward. Okay, and you said also this is how they learn commands. Yes. So it's almost imitating what a rider would do. Exactly. So they're going to learn that the left rein, when she pulls on the left rein, it means to turn left.
Right.
When she pulls on the right rein, that it means to turn right. And when she pulls back on both reins, it means to stop. So this is the typical commands that a rider from atop the horse will be doing. So that's what they're learning now, and they're learning it on the ground.
Now, I also wanted to ask where these two colts came from and whether that has caused any difficulty here in the summer for them.
Right. Well, we purchased these two horses from Indiana, but the breed itself is a cold water breed. These guys hail from Canada, so Clydesdales are used to the very, very cold weather.
Sure.
So it is a challenge for them here in Delaware. So they're not used to 92 degrees. They're actually used to below zero type weather.
Now, I know County Executive Tom Gordon chose Clydesdales for the Mounted Patrol specifically. Right. Do you agree with that choice of breed?
Absolutely. It was a firm decision. It was a perfect decision. I wouldn't want anything else. The guys, these horses have the temperament that we look for, and they're sturdy and they're steady and they last a very long time, and that they save the county taxpayers a lot of money as well.
Sure. Also, I know that these two horses particularly can be a bit mischievous, which is actually attuned to what a child would do.
Right. I mean, if you think of it in terms of human behavior, these guys are teenagers.
Right.
And so if they're not busy doing something constructive, they're busy doing something destructive.
Right. Now, have you introduced them to any of the other members of the Mounted Patrol, any of the other Clydesdales?
We haven't begun to integrate them with the others yet, simply because of their size. When you think about it, our other Clydesdales are anywhere between 1,700 and 2,000 pounds, and so one kick, and the other horses are wearing shoes, so they could do a lot of damage even if they weren't intending to. Horses naturally will scrap with one another, and so we just wouldn't want them to get hurt, and we wait until they can hold their own.
Which makes sense, of course. And I know that they were recently gelded, which for the audience, if they don't know, is basically having them fixed.
Right, castrated.
And do you want to just let them know why they had to do that?
Sure. Yeah. I guess you think about castrating any of your pets, your dogs and cats and whatnot. And so there's the obvious reason, but a stallion Clydesdale would be very, very difficult to manage.
Right.
Their strength, their size, there'd be no fence that could hold them.
It could be very dangerous.
There'd be no fence that could hold them. And they, we have mares on the property too, and they would take out fences to get to the mares.
So it's just
Elvis
absolutely, yeah.
Elvis, when he came to us, was a stallion.
Oh gosh.
And we had to have him gelded. He was gelded late, but not before he took out a whole bunch of fences and dragged a lot of staff around. So we don't want that.
Right. So absolutely, as a safety precaution,
yes,
must be done.
Right.
Now, I know that they haven't been ridden yet either.
Not yet.
So can you tell our audience a little bit about the process that it will take to get them ridden, and about how long you can estimate until that'll happen?
Well, what we're doing now will prepare them for the actual ride. They are being saddled now, and they're comfortable with having a bit in their mouth. They're comfortable with having a saddle on and a girth. And so that's a huge part of the battle. So now we're probably looking at a good 6 to 8 months before we actually get a rider on. And if they continue to progress the way they've been, I don't see any problems at all.
Well, Sergeant Devine, thank you so much for being here today. Is there anything you'd like to add before we wrap up?
Only that I'd like to recognize Destiny Dale. Destiny is a barn worker here at Carousel, and she's been doing the training with the Colts for the last few months. Prior to that, we had some interns from the University of Delaware. We weren't able to get an intern this year, and Destiny has taken on the challenge, and she loves it, and she's doing really well.
Yeah, it looked really great. The work they were doing looked great.
Yes, she's great.
Well, thank you so much for coming, or for having us here today, and I hope that everything keeps progressing the way it has been.
Thanks. We look forward to doing it again.
Okay.
Well, that wraps up this edition of Spotlight on Newcastle County. I hope you enjoyed today's show with Newcastle County Police Sergeant Mary Devine and the Clydesdale Colts. Please keep it tuned to NCC TV for news and information on Newcastle County, Delaware. For County Executive Tom Gordon, Executive Producer Jim McDonald, Director Tony Prado, and the NCC TV crew, this is Melody Kitchen. Thank you for watching. Take care.